This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Ami. So Libby was already then enough of a Rebbitzen to understand who Rav Sher was. She goes to the phone and tremulously asks, hello? And he said, Rebbitzen Weiss. I have the title Rabbi because of Smicha, but she has a title Rebbitzen. She lived up to it with every fiber of her being. So Rebbitzen Weiss, yes. Your husband says a daf yomi in the Agudah of Staten Island in his shul every night at 8 o'clock, yes. And then your husband says a daf yomi at 10 o'clock in the flagship Agudah of 14th Avenue, yes. So that means you probably don't see him from about 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock every night. She said, yes. You have little children at home, right? Yes. She says, I'm calling you to say thank you on behalf of Klal Yisrael. So then she says, you want to speak to my husband? I'm listening to this whole conversation. He says, of course, wish him a good year, but this call was for you. All her life, all your life, Mim Libby, you put your life on the side, and it's amazing you did all that you did incidentally. Every Tuesday night for the last 30 years, she stayed up the whole night with me to pack the CDs and and put on the stamps and the tapes. With your Heilige Hente, you duplicated until your first chemo 15 years ago when it took away the koyach in your hands. You duplicated over 1 million tapes. Hundreds of thousands of CDs. I remember before the stamps were self-sticking, you used to take a sponge and put them on. I remember how you would go downstairs to the office and make the thousands of duplicates. Sometimes we would send out a Purim tape or a Hanukkah tape, thousands of them. You traveled where I wanted to travel. Nothing stood in the way of Torah. Here's a woman who never had a cell phone. Not a flip phone. She never had a cell phone. Now, if you think about it, it's weird. Because she loved the phone. She never asked me for a cell phone. And I want to tell you, I think the reason is because she felt that if she had a cell phone, she would never be offered and she wouldn't be there for me. So I think that she didn't take the cell phone for that reason. Although I think she would have loved the cell phone. She never drove a car. She had a personal chauffeur. I want to tell you that in comforting myself, when I think about how I wanted to live with her for 70, 80 years of marriage, we used to talk about couples that were married 65, 70 years. But I think to myself, most couples, they see themselves in the morning, maybe a little bit in the night. We lived together all the time. I drove her where she wanted to go. I learned in the car. I had a base medrash in the car. We worked together. I think that we had 100 years of marriage on time in time. It's been much discussed, the fact that from the moment she went into the hospital and through the time that we had a hospital in the house, she was never alone a second. Now you have to understand what that means. In the hospital, when I left at 1 in the morning, somebody came at 1 in the morning and stayed till 6. And then another woman came at 6 and stayed till 9. And then Zahava came at 9 and stayed till 4. And then I came, and then when I left to Shir, Rachel came and stayed by Shir till 10. Then I came back, and then somebody took over. Never was she, and the staff on Kronish 6, the nurses, the doctors, they've never seen anything like it. What's pshat that women would come 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 6 in the morning? What's pshat? The answer is like everybody said. Libby, she always said, I work a lot on my friendships. She said, I put everything into my friendships. And she was totally selfless. What do I mean by totally selfless? She had no interest in jewelry whatsoever. 18 years ago, I bought her a white gold necklace for an anniversary. She said, that's fine, it's plain, I don't need anything else. It's from you, I wear it, I don't need anything else. Then last year, the day of the Zichron Shlomo Refuah Fund, when everybody was coming in and out of the house, a burglar came in, and he also came in and out of the house, and he took her jewelry. She said to me, Moshe, you were in the house, you're okay, you're my jewelry. It made no key, her chasana pearls, that white, it made no difference to her. She had no interest in jewelry. Dresses, okay, you give me a check for Elsie, I'll get something at Elsie. It's fine. She had, in our marriage, maybe in 34 years, she signed a dozen checks. She had the power to sign checks. She signed a dozen checks. I would give her Thursday, she would go shopping. I would give her a wad of cash. I would give her signed checks. She never signed a check. She had absolutely no interest in money. Kids, you remember, she said, if I won the lottery, $100,000 for this child, $100,000 for that child. She did not talk about anything about herself. She was incredibly interested just in the other person. And there gravitated to her a circle of friends that were of the same mind. Friends have told me, Rabbi Weiss, when I was a little guilty, I was using people. They said, Rabbi Weiss, give me a knife and I'll cut off my right hand from Emily in a second. What her friends would not, this is a reflection of someone she wasn't interested in. She was interested. How many of you in this room called and she would say, hello, gorgeous? That's how she would, hello, gorgeous. Caller ID was absolutely nothing to her. I checked the caller ID, who's calling, if I have time. Caller ID, she refused to look at. Hello, what could I do for you? What could I do for you? That's why she was so loved. What can I do for you? What can I do for you? Rav Weiss said, what we could learn. What could you learn from a woman that would go to CVS, and buy up a bunch of Mother's Day cards. She would send Mother's Day cards to a whole bunch of people. I tell them she's like a mother to me. It makes them feel so good. She would buy a whole bunch of Mother's Day cards. If I wanted, we would go out to eat often. But if I really wanted to give her something, I would tell her this. I'll take her to Columbia Presbyterian to visit somebody. Oh, then I gave her gold. If there was something, she could do something, she would always tell me it was absurd. Like Rabbi Leifeld said, there could be a graveside Levaya, a handful of people. Miriam Libby is there. She would tell me, Maish, I know this person. She came into the Tillim group. The Tillim group. Some story of the Tillim group. I don't play the stock market at all. But I happened to buy one time a stock. And it went like... And with that money, we did the basement for the Tillim group. One time is... Do you know how many tens of thousands of times Tillim was said in the basement? We hope that should continue for many years in our memory. You know how many tens of thousands? So you know me. So I said, Mem Libby, the Tillim group should be publicized. And it should be... So at that time, Leslie Palmer was driving her crazy to have the Staten Island Advance come and cover the Tillim group. And she said to me, Moshe Meir, you have your way, I have my way. You have your way, I have my way. I don't want any eyes on the Tillim group. I don't want it sullied by papers, by this and that. But in the Tillim group, she was colorblind. No matter how you came in, no matter how you were dressed, no matter how you looked, she greeted you with warmth. That was her infectious warmth. And wasn't she funny? Wasn't she funny? People would fight. They would fight to have her come back from a wedding with her. I, of course, left for Shir. And she wanted to stay to close the doors. She loved the wedding. And people would fight to have her, not just to get the carpool. Right? She told me, Moshe, I have to be careful. This one wants me for the carpool. That one wants me for the carpool. But it wasn't only for the carpool. It was because people would say she was funny. They were rolling. They would fight to be on her table. I want to be on Libby's table. Like, like was mentioned before. Like Connie mentioned, she would say, no, there's room. And she would pull over another chair and another chair. Our table had 18 seats. It's a 14 seat. No, there's plenty of room. And then she would call over the waiter, make another place. There's plenty of room. And come sit over here. She would save everybody's seats and everybody's seats. My brother Yosef Asher told me, Moshe Meir, you can't say over 34 years in one speech. You can't do that. But what could you say about a woman like Rev Weiss mentioned? She used to go with me to WNYM radio. She was pregnant with Nehemiah. She would sit in a corner in the radio station. I'd be on the radio. She would be answering the phone. And she would be vomiting in the corner. I'd be on the radio. She was in her first trimester. She would be throwing up. And then 2 o'clock in the morning, we would return. And she did this. And all her life, she was there. When I said this over. I told Yisrael. I think he told the Rosh Hashiva when she was diagnosed. So well-meaning people came over to me and said, you know, Moshe Meir, you should think about adding a name. She's very sick. We succeeded in not telling people for quite a while that she had pancreatic cancer, because I felt that if it was a davar asamim and ayim, so we didn't need such a big miracle. So for many, many, many months, nobody knew her diagnosis. I swore all the doctors to secrecy. So I remember that when Rav Shishkal Olav Shalom was very ill, the night of his patira. So I was a young boy, but for some reason I was chosen. I went over to Rosh Shiva, Ramosha, Zechtzav Kosherach, Schus Yagan Aleinu's bungalow, to ask him if they should add a name to Moshe Eliyahu. So Shiva looked at me and said, Moshe Eliyahu Tzvei Gutenim. No. I said to myself, I had to hear that for a reason. Miriam, Libby, Tzvei Gutenim. How could you add a name to Miriam, Libby? Anybody that has Miriam, Libby, they have a smile. And Miriam, Libby, so we didn't add a name. She lived very long. I want to tell the children, there was something, and I never meddle in names, you know that, but there was something that Mommy asked me. She said, please, I know I'm going to pass away before 60. I want the children to give my name, not to add any names. Ramosha held that a child could do that, notwithstanding a tshuva that was printed. Otherwise, that tshuva is about a suicide. Mommy wanted her name, Miriam Libby. Oh, children, how Mommy loved you. Remember, you are her. And as much as she loved her children, the daughter-in-laws and the son-in-laws, she loved you even more. She would tell the children, if you don't treat them well, I'll kill you. Oh, how your daughters and sons does. You're also sitting Shiva. She would say, Tzuga Kamanas, you take care of the Tzuga Kamanas. Ooh. I want you to know how much she loved every one of you. She never considered herself an agudist. She considered herself a Staten Islander. She was as close to every one of you as conceivably possible. The best you could do when Mark and Beatrice came to the hospital, and she was hardly speaking, as they were leaving, she said to them, now go have a romantic night together. That's what she said. What she would want is that you should put your spouses first. That was by her. She lived, it says a woman is going to be asked if she was an Eza Kenegda. Was she an Eza Kenegda? All my life she put me first in every single way possible. I'm living in every single way possible. Sacrificing herself, sacrificing. It's true. It's true. How could you encapsulate 34 years? It's true. I would be totally remiss, although it's probably a foolish thing because I'm going to leave somebody out. My dear Yedid Nefesh, Yitzi Kurtzer, is in Eretz Yisrael for Pidyon Aben today of a grandchild. He must have had some kind of a feeling because 4 o'clock in the morning, his time, he called me last night and I told him, I was on the phone with him every day, countless times. Libby was very sick and had many problems. She had a mass in the pancreas. It metastasized to the liver. She had a fistula, a hole in her colon, which caused her not to be able to digest food anymore. I was giving her TPN and fluids in the home to keep her alive. Medicines, all kinds of different ways, sprays and all kinds of different ways for her to absorb it. He helped me. Dr. Hirschfeld. Dr. Radin opened up his radiology lab and had me sit with him by the screen so I didn't have to wait a second every time she had a scan, and there was a scan every 3 months. Dr. Puro, who opened up his endoscopy lab so she wouldn't have to be admitted to the hospital in order to get her blood transfusions. What can we say about Elke Jacobson Trenk, who until I became a full-fledged RN for years, she came in and hydrated Libby and sat with her. And then Zahava Revivo spent a good part of her day. There's so many people. Rachel Zucker, who I wouldn't have been able to give Daf Yomi, she sat with her for every Daf Yomi. She came with her to every chemo, and that's also 15 years ago, the 8 chemos. But I want to tell you something. I don't know how many people you know that have had 40 chemos. When my father, Olav Shalom, had cancer, my father, Olav Shalom, was a survivor of Auschwitz. And he told me before he passed away that the pain was erger than the Nazis. Mommy was a Holocaust survivor. 40 chemos. She used to go with me to Walmart, and when we went down the aisle with the detergents, she would say, Moshe, this is what they're putting in me. And yet, as she was doing the chemo, she would say, I'm having in mind for Shapsi Yaselovsky. I'm having in mind for Michelle Yaselovsky. I'm having in mind Rebecca Frist. While she was... How can we not thank so many other women, Suri Leibowitz, who came and gave her injections. And the list goes on and on. The people that stayed with her, Rosie Bleich and Anati Grun and Alana Bieberfeld and Pessy Finkelstein and the list just goes. Tippi Stern and Chaye Glazer and Carol Fishbaum and Blossom Newman and all the wonderful Miriam Profesorski, all the wonderful people that came to the house and sat with her and Erica Sabo and Galit Weiner, the cooking that was done, and Yosef Osher and Ahuva and Yisrael and Rachel and Yitzchak and Gitti. I mean, of course, Mami and Saba were always there, and all their prayers and all their thoughts for us. And Mami's cooking. Oh boy. The whole community's tefillas, it's just unimaginable. Libby, some say you don't ask to be a good Tibet the first year. It says, Yisurin Mamarkin Avinoisav Shaladam, any sins that you have, I'm your husband. It says, Bala Vayalala, husband knows. What sins did you have? What sins did you have? Anything sins, 40 chemos. Please be a good Tibetan. I should have the kaya. All the children should continue to be happy and have healthy babies and healthy mummies. We're going to miss you for the service. Miriam would say, if you have plans and you have to leave, go. You have plans. I don't want to kill your afternoon. I know you're busy. I'd like to call our son Yaakov. I'd like to call our son Yaakov to say Mila Despeda.
Last night, I wrote my speech on my phone, but my phone's being used. My wife went home last night to take care of the kids. And she told me that this morning she spoke to my little daughter Zahava. And she said, Bubby was nifter. So Zahava turned to my wife and she said, Bubby was nifter. Who's going to take care of Zadie? I'm going to take off school this week. I'm going to stay with Zadie. Where does Zahava get this from? She's a little child. We don't want to bring Zahava here. We don't want to scar her. Where does Zahava get this from? Staten Island lost the Queen. They lost the Queen. Everybody spoke how amazing she was. Everybody knows how amazing she was. But as a family, we lost a mother. No matter how much she did for the world, we came first. I always tell myself, if I was a child nowadays, and I would go through the school system, I would have 1,000 teachers. I would have therapists. They wouldn't know what to do with me. Somehow, when I was in school, I maybe had a couple extra teachers. What was it? My mother would tell me, Mommy, you would tell us, it's not your grades. I still remember coming home when I got like a 0 on my test. And my mother, I would take it to her because the teacher wanted it signed. And the first time it happened, I was scared. But my mother always told me, did you try? I said, yeah. That's good enough. She knew for me, she would never say that to Nehemiah. Nope. But she knew for me, that's what I had to hear. Every child, every one of us were different. She didn't treat us as one. Mommy, everybody was different by you. Nehemiah went to Yeshiva Staten Island. I went to White to Tea. Thank you for letting me be who I was. There is something, Mommy, that everybody is talking how great you are. But there is something that you would want us to say. Mommy, you would not have been able to be great if not for the fact that Tati was standing beside you. Tati had the all of the parnasa on his shoulders, and he let you raise us. That's what he wanted. And yes, Mommy, you were able to become who you were because you had that ability. Everybody started their speech with thank yous. There's somebody that I have to thank. There's 2 people in my family that I have to thank. 3, 4, 5, 6. But Nehemiah, it's a little embarrassing, you're my older brother, but you really stepped up to the plate. When Mommy was sick, and it was a tough 2 years, you really put the whole family on your shoulders. Whether it was making sure that this one had what they needed, you might have asked me to take care of it, but it was always on your shoulders. And I think Mommy realized that. And Mommy appreciated that. Devorah, as Tati said last night to me and Nehemiah, if not for you, the whole family would have fell apart. Thank you, David, for letting Devorah be there whenever we needed her. There's 2 things that I'm going to share because my mind totally froze. My daughter Zahava, she got it from the core of Bubby. Mommy taught us that we don't live for ourselves. We live for the other people. Other people. We don't come first. Our spouses come first. Everybody in the world come first. Tati comes first. My little daughter, Zahava, who's 7, 8, I don't even know. She feels it. It's in her blood. This is what we're about. We're not living for ourselves. We're living for the other person. Who's going to take care of Zadie? I'll take care of Zadie, she said. This is what Mommy would want. One of the things. The last thing, I don't remember, it was 2 weeks ago. Mommy calls me in Nehemiah before I was Shabbos. Maybe she called everybody else, I don't know. She calls. She says, Yaakov, I want one thing that makes a difference, is that all siblings, we should be close to each other. And we so are. When somebody needs help, don't wait for them to ask. Be there for them. Don't even let them know that you're doing it for them. Do it quietly. That's what mommy would want. Tati, thank you so much. No matter what anybody said, you still did what you felt. And you gave us more years with mommy. If you haven't done what you wanted, I think it would have been much more of a shock for us. And we all would have fallen apart. Thank you so much.
I'd like to acknowledge, first of all, dignitaries that came here. I see my very close friend, Rabbi Weiss, who opens his unbelievable shul in Woodburn to me and lets me marbitz Torah to hundreds of thousands of people. Rabbi Weiss, Libby was very grateful for that. We should be able to do in the future. Rabbi Weiss is a kindred spirit to my wife. In this room, Rabbi Weiss, who goes and is mafker himself the whole summer, is your jelly beans for the children. Rabbi Weiss, the kindred spirit to Miriam Libby. I see Rabbi Agassiz, Rabbi Friedman. You know, Yaakov, people would think that somebody that's been involved with so much chesed, Chinese auctions, and the nursing homes that she went and brought down all the patients and did bingo with them and birthdays, and she made bar mitzvah for Chaim when he was 83 years old, and all the different things. You would think, the family, they were karbanis never, the 4 Weiss children. Do you know, Rabbi say, that when I dated, I made a t'nai with any girl that I dated that I didn't want them to work. It sounds strange in today's society, huh? That was the t'nai. If they wanted to work, it wasn't for me. I wanted them home. If Mim Libby wasn't by a bus stop, the children asked me if we had a baby. That's what they said. Did mommy have another baby? That's the only time that she wasn't by the bus stop. People would set their clocks by Mim Libby outside. When Mim Libby was late, I missed the bus! Every bus stop. And it's true. Our children, Baruch Hashem, are so well-rounded because of their mommy. Mim Libby wouldn't be alive this long, and I don't know if I'd be standing on my feet if it wasn't for Devora. Devora was having contractions, and she was still on the phone with me in the hospital to make sure that there was somebody for the shift in the middle of the night. She had a baby, and in the room before she fed the baby, she was on the phone with me. How's mommy? Again, because of the Gidrei Atznius, Devora is not going to speak. But my good longtime friend, Mark Weiss, who was the one who drove me with Chani to Baby's Hospital, Columbia Presbyterian, all those years ago, and who's been in the house so many times and seen so many miracles from him, Libby. He's going to read a letter from her.
There's nothing like Mila de Hespeda from a child, and I really feel terrible taking it away from Devorah, but I'm going to try to portray it of what you wrote. And for the zechus to give it to me, to give it over to you. Mommy, oh mommy, I miss you so much already. Mommy, you loved us so much. It's so hard to believe that you're not here with us anymore. But like Tati said, you're going straight up to Gan Eden. Mommy, we've learned so much from you. You together with Tati instilled in us kids, how to be good people, how to help others, and how to do chesed. Mommy, how lucky I am to live here in Staten Island. Little did David and I know that one of the reasons, if not the main reason, that Hashem made us move to Staten Island was to be able to be here for you. And Tati, during such trying times, I thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the zechus that I was able to be with you almost every day since you got sick. I thank Nechemya, Chani, Yaakov, Rina Tzivya, and Yocheved for always helping me and David be there for you and Tati. Whenever it was possible, taking our kids or doing anything that was needed when we know the times were so hard. Mama, you always said that we should stay close. I'm speaking for all of us. We will, and we'll be there for Tati. Mommy, I'll never forget how a few months before you got sick, I was lucky to have you watch Bat Sheva and Yosef, how you took care of them. It was with such love. And then I'll never forget one Friday when I came home from work and you were holding Yosef and you were bent over and you said, I can't take him. I can't hold him. I'm in so much pain. That was a little before you were diagnosed. Oh, how I miss bringing my kids to you. Mommy, it was so special of you when they wanted to put together Tillim for you. And I asked you, and you told me 3 things that you should take and thank Hashem for all we have, that we should daven for ourselves and family, and that the first we should daven for all of other people, for all the other cholim, and then for you, Mommy, because you said that you can't have someone do for you and not for others. Mommy, you're just so special. Mommy, you've taught me so much, and Mommy, I'm speaking for all us kids. Mommy, the time you told us how proud you are of all of us and encouraged us. Mommy, you always said that if someone had to get sick, you would never want it to be anyone else. You were always so selfless, even in your sickness. Mommy, you were Tati's life. Tati is Tati because of you. Thank you for showing us what it means to be a true Eishes Chayil. Mommy, I had the most special week when I had the privilege and zechus to bring our 1-week-old Chaya to you and to bring some happiness in life into you. Just a few days before your Petira, when you held Chaya and gave her a bracha of Arichas Yamim V'Shanim, that was just so special. I'm so grateful to Hashem that our Chaya was able to get a kiss from you and that you were able to get some nachas from her. Those pictures I will cherish forever. I just want to ad-lib one thing before I continue. 2 weeks ago, Monday, when they called Hatzalah, and Miriam Libby was having difficulty breathing, and things were getting very glim. And we took her down to the ambulance, and before anything, Rabbi Weiss called. We had to get Reb Ruvain on the phone, and the doctors on the phone, and we had three-way calls on how to proceed. And the doctor told Rabbi Weiss whatever, and Reb Ruvain told him. And then Rabbi Weiss said, no, I want to bring her back out of the ambulance, back into the house, and I'm going to take care of her. That was the Monday right before Devorah had this baby. She had the zechus to see this baby. I was there to witness when she brought this baby in and give her brachas and everything. And what Rabbi Weiss did for these 2 years, especially the last few months, doctors, he would call doctors with every dosage and everything, and the doctors would answer him, Rabbi, you know more than us. You're keeping her alive. You do whatever it is you have to do. Mommy, here are a few things you had me asked to write down that I want to share with everyone. Mommy wants shalom, be there for each other, keep each other close, take care of each other, try to go to sleep at night, not angry with anybody, always have a kind word for the next person, treat your friends like your life. Mommy, you wish us friends like ours. All we can do is the best we can. Always be close no matter what. Always look and help other people. You always taught us to look for mitzvos, and we'll find them. Try to be pleasant so people want to be around you. Suggest to people what to do, not what they have to do. Be a listening ear is important. Love each other to pieces. That's what life is about. Try to get together with each other, even if it's hard. Mommy, this was you. You taught us by example. Mommy, thank you for giving us the most amazing advice on anything. Everyone knew that you were always amazing at listening to people and helping them to do the best of their ability. Mommy, thank you for being the best mommy anyone can ever have. Your love for us will be cherished forever. I will now read what Mommy asked me to tell everybody. I came from a good family, got into a beautiful family, Baruch Hashem, married a tremendous Talmid Chacham. With our ups and downs, I had a very good life. Hashem blessed us with 6 beautiful children that Baruch Hashem have good marriages. I am asking for no one to ask me for mechila. Everybody did the best and more than the best. But I ask mechila from everybody, from me and my husband and children, for all of these hardships that were on the road together. I had a big zechus in life to be surrounded by all of you. Love and kisses. Continue your mitzvos. Continue the beautiful friendships that became friendships while I was ill. And cherish every day because it's a gift. Mommy. The
Devorah, well said. Rav Pollack had a bracha by our wedding. He gave us our first foothold in Staten Island. He had a bracha, I believe, by every one of our children's weddings. And he was always available to Devorah and David when they have questions. Rav Pollack, I believe, really knew and recognized from Libby's involvement in the nursing homes, really knew and recognized that Libby was not normal. We have a few more speakers and we have to go, so we asked the remaining speakers, although they have a lot to say, to speak a little short, although they have a lot to say. Senior Rav of Staten Island, who means so much to our family, Rav Pollack.
Moray Rabbi Sai B'Shis Rosh Hashiva U'Shavei Rabunim Magid Shi'ir. We came together today to be masped and to give kuved u'achroin, the last honor for a Isha Tzedekes, Harabunes, Mures, Miriam, Libby, Bas, Rebaharen, Zechroin Lebruche. Moirai Rabbi Isai, you heard a lot. Whatever you heard is sehr weinig. It's very, very little that was said. Who this personality, who this Rabbun is, Miriam Libby, who she really was. Moirai Rabbi Isai, the Nubi Umois in Perik Ches says, B'yoiba hini madishem. And this day HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Ve'eveitzi es hashemesh b'tzuroim, I will bring down the sun b'tzuroim in middle of the day. V'chsharti le'ures b'yoim oir, and I will make darkness b'yoim oir in the day when there is light. I will bring up the darkness. V'samtiu ke'evel yuchid, and I will do it like an evel yuchid, like an individual avelis. V'achrisa kiyoimar, and the achris is like a bitter day. Rabbi Isai, we have masped someone that was taken away b'tzaharoim in the middle of her life, of the best life, the prime of her life, when you could see a lot of nachas from children, from grandchildren. She was taken away, 54 years old. The Chassam Sofer says, Eis Sefoid, there's a time to be masped. He says sometimes you don't have to be masped, you don't have to say anything. The timing, this is the hesped, Rabbi Isai, you know what it means? Our mama, Yiddish mama, to taken away so early in life. Yerbi Yuyanuvi says, is bohemini, we should think about it. Ikrule bekoine noise. We should call up the lamentations. Our eyes should be full of tears, Rabbi Isai, instead of jokes. Instead of jokes, it should be tears. In our eyes, let's all cry. Rabbi Isai, let's all cry. Let's cry what the Rebbitzen took away such a Rabbunis. Such a person, what we had here in Staten Island, kept up so much chesed, so much goodness, involved in many other things. Eich should not be. We were robbed of such a heilige Neshume. Rabbi Isai, Eishes Chayil me Yimtzu, Beruchoik b'pnini Michra, Eishes Chayil. What it means, Eishes Chayil, zog the Metzides Duvid. Eishes Chayil means Zerize. She was very schnell, fast, doing fastings. Zerize and V'yeshure, and very character. The character was straight, and idle, and fine. Eishes Chayil, Chayil means also a soldier, a soldier. She was like a soldier. She was doing things, mamish with the energy, shein kumoi. Even when she was sick, the energy that she had is mamish, it's amazing. Mamish what she can say as azach. Butach bolei balo v'shuloi lo yechsor. Butach bolei balo. Rab Meir Weiss, so lebendig gesehen sein, Butach Bali Balo. He secured himself in her. The way he treated her all these years, especially the last years, it's unbelievable. I never saw it, and I'm sure you didn't see it, that a husband should be so dedicated. Yom v'laylu. I came to the hospital and visit to see him there, mamish involved, like the doctor said, involved in every little bit. V'shula lo yechzor, shula laboisai is the oisius, shia lamed, which this is Shem, Lushon in Levish. Shem, the Shem Tov she had the gewaldige name by everyone, the love and the name that people, she created herself, gewaldig. Lushoin, the language that she used, the loving language, the heilige language, clear language, Chas v'shulem, ich kann andere Sachen that you don't have to talk Lushon Hara, or just find things, good things about people. In Levish, the tznius was unbelievable, tznius, modesty. I came into the hospital and she was mamish nearly nicht bazich, and I saw that how she started to fix her tichel, and to cover herself 100%. The tznius was gewaldig. Even the Shabbos, last Shabbos I was in the house. I visited her, my son, Rosh HaKoilel. We came in right away. She fixed her tichel right away, zigedeckt, mamish, to see the tznius, Rabbi Isai. I want to say something. The Rebbitzen took away such a tznius is because Rabbi Isai, you have to do tznius in Staten Island. Say man and say woman, to learn, this is the tachlis from a hesped, to see what hesped is the oisius hefser, the same thing, the same oisius what we lost. We lost tznius, and this is what we have to rectify our tznius in Staten Island. I will not interpret because I don't want to take time. I just want to bring out. She didn't know anything schlecht. She never said a word. Remember, she never said, why me? Why do I have the cancer? She never said this. She said she has Yisirim, yes, but she never said a word, why me? Like many people say, I was sometimes in the gewesen by Ubul, and I said, no, dying MS. He said, no, Rabbi, no, he's not dying MS. The mamish, I was mamish, os kailam, that a person should say like this, she never said a word, epes kegen HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why me? Always, she was soivel the Yisirim, moirlik Yisirim, they ate by us a Shabbos. But she was very sick. She had Yisirim, but she didn't show it, so that we shouldn't feel along with her, and she shouldn't bring in a bad ruach in Shabbos Kodesh. The Gemara says in Bruches Daf Samach that Hillel said when he heard a kolze Buche be'ir, he had a geschrei in Stut, he heard that people are screaming from pain. I'm sure it's not in my house. This cannot happen in my house, because he learned the children. He learned his wife Hillel that there's no such thing as man soll reden, chas v'shulem, upreden sich auf HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is what she was. Kapu porsu le'uni, v'yudeu shilcho lu'ebyoin. V'yudeu means a plural, both hands. Kapu is one hand. Kapu porsu le'uni. She didn't wait for the uni to come. She went to the uni. She gave her the ebyon with both hands, with the sach love, with the sach matuna. She didn't wait to come. Rabbi Edelman from the yeshiva of Staten Island told me, by a chasana we met, he said, you should know that when I call up Rebbitzen, Miriam, Libby, and I say I have a chusen that needs money, a poor chusen, she would come and she would thousands of dollars. She would raise for the chusen. This is how Kapu Porsu Leuni with Shilcha Luabian she was. This is what we lost. Leisiru Leveisol Mishule Kichol Beisol Uvishunim. So the Medrash Zukt Rabboisai, we came out from Chanukah. Zukt ins the Medrash Al Tikre Shunim Elu Shnayim, call it Shnayim, which is the two things. The Chanukah Ner in the Mezuzah of the left side. What is the common denomination for Chanukah in the Mezuzah? Mezuzah is Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu V'ahavtas Hashem Elokecha B'chol Moedechu Mesiras Nefesh B'chol Nafshechu. The same thing is Chanukah. We saw the Mesiras Nefesh of the Chashmonuyim. This is the Mesiras Nefesh that she had. Leisiru Leveisa Mishulek Kichol Beisol Uvushunim. Her whole house, her whole being was a shtik Mesiras Nefesh that she gave over her whole mamish, her whole koyach, whole neshuma, she gave over for Klal. This is like Siru Leveis of Ushunim. Rabbi Isai, Ois V'hudar Levisha V'artischag Le'emachron. Rashi says, Kol Yumeyu Al Yoy Misusa, that all the days of her life, she was thinking, Shetehei Nichbad B'Shem Tov, she should be mechiben with a good name. A good name is gewaldig, Rabbi Isai. We know it also in America. We know credit. Credit, jeder watcht sein credit. This is financially. But to watch the credit from Rachni is, a person should really have credit. Bakudish Barchi mit mitzvahs und Maasem Teuvim. Das ist etwas, Tischag le'yoy machroin. Ois v'huda levisha. The Levish Rabbi Isai. Levish is also in Yeshaya, Nubi is called Levish, the children are Levishim. This is the clothing from a person, takes around the person. And this is the Tyre Kindle that we see here, the grandchildren that are here with us. They're taking around the Mama, them Tzarim. And this is the Levish, this is kind of Levish, and this is the kind of clothing that she had in her life. That was everything with Ois Behudor, with the strength and with the beauty. Kumi Bunayu Ashriyu, Ba'alo Ba'halalo. Rabbi Isai, Steite Kehele says, Meshabeach Aniyes Achayim, Esamesim, Shekvar Meisi, Me'asher Chayim Oideni. I'm praising the Mesim. If you want to praise a person, you want to see a person who really was, look at the fruit of the person. What kind of fruit, what kind of a children he has. Kumi buneyu, kinderlich, steitzo, ve'ashriyu, and shows yourself to see what the mama had gehad, was children of the mama gehad, aufgebringt, was kinderlich hat zu mechanach gewesen. Especially, I want to tell you, all the children were involved with the mama. Jeder hat geholfen, but there is one person here, one child here in Staten Island that lives here, is the Levaya Rosenberg. She was mamish Mesiras. She called me up many times. And she asked me to visit Charles, and she was pregnant at the time. She should go, when she should go, and alles. Mamish, unbelievable. The Mesiras Nefesh, the Übergegebenkeit is unbelievable. There's more and more to say, but I heard that we have to finish early. There's many other people that will say, as I feel that Rabbi Isai, the Tachlis from my husband is, and I'm here in Staten Island, and all of you in Yetz Hashem, Staten Island is growing and growing. We have to show the tznias, the three things, the Shem, the Vish, the Malbish, in what we spoke about her, that to learn from her. Man soll sich uplernen a jüdische Weg, a emes a jüdische Weg. This is the Tachlis von a jüdische Mishpuche, and this is the Tachlis when a Mensch geht weg von der Welt. He should leave over Maasem Toivim like she did in Rabbi Isai. Whatever we said, it's still mamish just a drop a drop from her doing what she did in her life. So der Eibischte helfen. Also mit solche Sachen, der Kusheber husband, that my Shemer Weiss is so broken, mamish, broken to pieces. I don't know how he could carry his Shiirim. I don't understand that. We named the Koiches. Der Eibischte helfen. He should give him koyach to go on and to be a gitter-tate for the kinder, to be a zayde for the einiglich, and mit Hashem, he should carry on his life, mit Hashem, mit Nachas and Brucha. I'm sure that with all the humor that this Rebbitzen had, the humor in her life, I'm sure that she would like him to go ahead and to build mit Hashem, water the heilige Mishpuche. And we should all be zoiche to see nachas from our children. Imuchu Hashem dimu mi'al kol punim umay.
Rabbi Say, we're almost ready to. We're never ready, but. And one of the things that you could learn from Libby is the fact that she would rather not give tzedakah than to embarrass someone. She said, Maish, I don't want to have it. If there's going to be more than one person around, in her sick state, she went downstairs with cash. Mama, she could barely walk the steps. I found her down the steps. She was waiting for someone to give somebody $500 cash by the door. She would say, nothing gives you the permission to embarrass someone. Better they should be impoverished than embarrassed. That was something that she lived up to all her life. It was the way she did. That's why Rabbi Leifeld said she wouldn't tell them. We had drop-offs by our house. She would never release the names of the people. A kindred spirit that understood, and she had a secret meeting with him in the hospital when she barely could talk to give over to him some of the tzedakahs that she wanted him to watch over. Rabbi Avigdor Fried, we want to ask you to say a few words about Miriam Libby.
Miriam Libby Bas Aaron. Dr. Hirschfeld said earlier he thought maybe her name should be Bracha because she gave brachas. Miriam Libby means beloved Miriam. That means beloved Miriam. Very appropriate name. Rabbi Chanina ben Daisa said, Kol sheruach habriyas noichem menu, ruach hamakim noichem menu. Whoever is beloved, Miriam Libby, beloved Miriam. Whoever is beloved by people below on earth is beloved above by Hashem. Commentator Mogen Avos on Pirkei Avos says, this is because by acting in a manner that people will emulate and say, wow, that's a real Torah Jew. So it causes a Kiddush Hashem, which pleases the Rebbeinu Shalom in heaven. Over the years, I've gotten to know the vast majority of people daven on all the shuls here in the neighborhood and others. Miriam Libby Bas Aaron was beloved by everybody. Sfaradim, Ashkenazim, Hasidisha, Litvisha, affiliated Jews, unaffiliated Jews, and non-Jews. Kol sheruach habriyas noichem menu, ruach hamokim noichem menu. Whoever is beloved by people below on earth is beloved above by Hashem. Miriam Libby Bas Aaron was a one-person Bika Cholim organization. She was akin to the famous, the legendary Miriam Lubling, Aleh Shalom, whose name was also Miriam. There are people who you can never say no to, because you know that whatever they're doing is Hashem Shamayim, not for themselves. They're doing it for Hashem's covered. Whether it's Clove Lake nursing home projects, or whether it's Tillam Group, or they're raising money for cancer patients, whether it's helping individuals in the community, you can never say no to the Rebbitzen. All this, besides being a mother of a large family and a devoted spouse. Indeed, as Rabbi Weiss said, the words basically of Rabbi Akiva, Kol Shalishi Lachem Shalah, everything that Rabbi Weiss was able to accomplish in his illustrious career is because of Miriam Libby. Victor Miller, Zatzal, he used to say that the human body, as awesome and wondrous as it is, he'd say it's only an overcoat. And inside that overcoat, the human body, is the real person, the neshama. When the overcoat gets worn out, then, and we hope to live to 120, but after a while, no matter what, it's discarded. But the neshama remains forever. What a neshama. During the course of her very, very difficult illness, she gave me certain missions to help people. She was suffering, struggling, but she couldn't rest until she knew the missions were accomplished. I mentioned earlier that I compared her attitude to the legendary Mrs. Miriam Lubling. As the Rav mentioned, she's being brought to Kvura next to another legendary lady, Jill Badnal Shalom. It is so appropriate. My wife and I were crying last night when we heard that. Jill Alesham founded the Bika Chadim and was beloved by all. She was the ultimate klal person, and as such was able to unite the entire community. She also was nefteres very young, and she accomplished in a very, very young life what other people would take hundreds and hundreds of years to accomplish. To say that they were kindred spirits, Jill and the Rebbitzen Lashon, is very, very accurate. I know it's very late, and I was originally not going to say a few words because I know it's late. But I did want to say, even though the Rebbitzen said that she doesn't want anyone to ask her mechila, she wants to ask everybody else mechila, but the Maisa, our organization is a community organization. And as such, I feel that I'm able to ask in the name of the entire community mechila, because she, if anyone deserved the utmost covered respect and help during her time of need, there's no question that she's that person. So I do want to ask Mechil on behalf of the entire community if there's anything we didn't do properly. Whoever is beloved by people on earth is beloved by Hashem above. Miriam Liba Bas Aharon, mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. I tried to convey this idea to her when I saw her just a week ago or so, because I could see she was struggling with this concept that she has, whatever chesed has to be finished, that she gave us over to do, has to be accomplished. So I tried to tell her that. I also, again, she was also concerned about Devorah giving birth, so my wife was the doula, Baruch Hashem, everything worked out well. So again, mission accomplished.
When we talk about Kesser Shem Tov, did you ever wonder why everybody called her Miriam Libby? There was no Miriam, it was no Libby, it was no Liba, it was Miriam Libby. Most people don't get both names. I don't even know if the children know this. When she was named, so Rav Henkin, who she knew from Ezra's Torah, did not hold of giving two names. But she wanted two names after a person. So Rav Henkin said, what about Masha Liba? So she didn't like the name Masha. She said, what about Miriam Liba? So Rav Henkin said, I'm masking. They ran it by the Shiva also. I'm asking as long as you're makabel to call her by both names. And that's why all her life she was known by both names, Miriam Libby. What a kesser shein toiv. I can't believe it. I can't believe that the founder of Ura, the Manal of Yeshiva Staten Island, is here, Rav Mintz, and we're not going to ask him to speak, but he said there's not time. And I can't believe, because he's such an honor if he's not looking for it. I want to acknowledge the presence of Rav Mintz. Rav Mintz, who again, another kindred spirit whose whole life is about other people. I want to acknowledge Rabbi Edmoni, Rabbi Navarro, Rabbi Kaufman, Rabbi Ettinger, Rabbi Friedman, Rabbi Strickman, Rabbi Isaacson, of course, Hatzalah. I want to thank again the board of directors and the shul of Young Israel of Staten Island, which you know we all love you so much. We all know. We feel like family. For rolling out the red carpet of us in our time of need. You know, Rav Pollack is right. Cry. It's good to cry. I want to call to finish, because I know he's going to speak short. But he knows Mim Libby. And he knows what Mim Libby meant to me. I want to call my brother. My other brother, Rav Yisrael, is going to speak by the Beis HaKfaris. I want to call my brother, Rav Yosef Asher Weiss, to say the last hesped.
Time is very short. Much has already been said. Everybody gets the idea. A couple of things I just want to add for people to carry away. We have a picture of Miriam Libby that unfortunately is colored by the illness of the past 2 years. That's not who Miriam Libby was. There are tremendous lessons to be learned from the gvura of the last 2 years. But for many years before that, she was the life of this community in many ways. She was devoted always to her community, to the shul, to her family. This is a woman who never missed a chance to call a child, to call a mother-in-law, to call a sister-in-law. You never called Miriam Libby on an Erev Yom Tov. She always called you first. I don't think there was one Erev Rosh Hashanah all the years, even after she was sick, that the phone didn't ring 10 o'clock in the morning. It's Miriam Libby just calling to wish everybody a good year. But it's not an accident that somebody like her had a husband who did everything that nobody else would be able to do to keep her going during these last 2 years. And it's not an accident that she had the friends that made it possible to have such a thing happen. Because she was a person who would do exactly the same thing for anybody else. It didn't matter who. And the Rebbeinu Shalom creates things zel umazeh. And the reason that you listen to all of her children speak with the same voice about shalom and achdus and love and taking care of each other is because that's who she was. That's how she lived. The thing that I always hear in my mind, and I'll always hear in my mind, is whenever anybody would say to her, Miriam Libby, we love you, she would smile and she'd say, what's not to love? And it's true, Rabbi say. What's not to love? There was nothing in the Rebbitzen We couldn't call her Rebbitzen. She laughed at us when we tried. There was nothing in this lady's life that there wasn't to love. And that's what we need to walk away from here with. Because there's nobody in this room who doesn't have the ability to do some of what she did. And the reason she did it all was because, what do you mean? What else should I be doing? There was no question in her mind. That's all she was there for. She was there always for him. She called me up all the time. She never wanted anything for herself. I need a favor, Yosef Asher. What do I need? I need Rabbi Mintz's phone number. Every time she called, she always wanted something. It was always, the favor was for her, but it was always for someone else. You know what we would be, Klal Yisrael would be, if we would be like that? You know what we could become? Mashiach would be here already, Rabbi say, if we would all be like that. And the trick is, we could all be like that. Let's take an example. My brother will never, nobody will ever know the Mesiras Nefesh that went on the last 2 years. Nobody will ever know. Because he'll never talk about it. And nobody was there 24 hours a day. But we all have such kaiches. And we had somebody who did it. And we had two people who did it. That's what we need to remember. Yeh Zecher Baruch.
You know, Rabbi say, I'm not operating in full capacity. So I can't believe it that I didn't ask one of my sons, Avi, Yochevet's husband, to speak. He'll speak again. He'll speak at the Beis HaKfaras. But just and to acknowledge my Mechutan Rabbi Ingber together with my other Mechutanim that are here. Mim Libby, I love you. And he goes to Ramban, it says, okay, so we spent almost 3 hours. So what are we taking away from here? Broken hearts? Of course, broken hearts. But what are we taking away from here? Go home and love your spouse. That's what you should take away. He loved me with every fiber of him. Go home and don't take it for granted. That you want to take away something? You want to take away something? Treasure your good name. Guard it. And one day, that when it's our time, people should talk about us like this. Guard your good name. Upon review, the Ezras Hashem of my people in the Aguda, I don't want to establish it until we talk about it, but I want to make a takana in the shul, because I feel that we should always remember how much she put into making friends. Like you just heard, she never waited. She told all the children, I'm going to wait for you to call me. She called the children. She called her friends. She said, Maish, if I wait for my friends to call me, I want to have friends. I called them. They were friends. After research last night, because I never thought about what I was going to say about Levaya while she was alive. I never thought about it. But last night, late in the night, I did some research. And I found that it's done in yeshiva shuls in Eretz Yisrael too. I'd like to be masakin that in the Gudda, before we say L'chun Ranana, we're going to sing Yedid Nefesh. And we're going to have in mind that power of Yedidus. You know, it says Yedidus Yad Yad, and it's Gematria 28, it's Gematria Kayach. Work on your friendships. Be colorblind. Do you know that in the house last night, Chassid after Chassid came up? And they said, we loved your wife. They're only in the community a year or two, but they loved him, Libby. Dr. Raiden said that Koyim would ask in his radiology place if the Rebbitzen was coming in. We want on a day off to come in. Dr. Puro said in the endoscopy lab they asked about her. She was colorblind to who you look like, who you were. She just loved everybody. Learn that. Learn that from her. From a kippah srugat to a spudik to a streimel to nothing. Learn that from her. The funeral is going to stop very quickly by the shul for the Kapitel Tillim and a Kaddish. And then we're going to go to United Hebrew Cemetery, where the funeral will take place. And then we'll go immediately afterwards. I still plan to have mincha in the house at 4:25 with Mariv to follow. Shachris every morning at 8:30. You know me, I like to daven late. Mim Libby would like me to tell you, I know I could say that you should live long, we should live long and happy and healthy and gather together for Gesund Kindler. Let's stay close, like Mommy said. Kill for each other. Fill the house with nachas and everything. Healthy mommies, healthy babies. And Bilam Avos L'Netzach U'Macha Hashem Elikim Dimim Al Kol Panim. I'd like to call on to save the Kel Malay, the former president of the Agudas Yisrael of Staten Island, who knew Mim Libby very well and knew what she meant, Rav Shmuel Liefer.
Barry's gonna get there. Time I pull back?
El Malay Rachamim Shochei Bam Roimim Am Sei Minu Chon Chayna Al Kanfei Hashchina B'Mahalois Kedoshim Utorim Ki Zohar Or Ki Amasirim Es Nishmas Miriam Liba Bas Arnoin Shol Choli Oilama Ba'avur Shakila Sagodis Yisrael, the Staten Island, the young Israel, the Staten Island, Michael Mishpacha, Mispalim Kan, Noiderin Litzdaka, Bad Haskaras Nishmasa, Began Eden, Tehi Menuchasa, Lachain, Balachamim, Yastireha, Beseisek Nafav Lihoilamim, Miyitzar, Bitzar Chayim Es Nishmasa, Adonai hu nachalasa V'sanuach hamishkava b'shalayim v'naimar. Amen.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.